Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering creativity. I'm Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Daniel Rivera, who serves as the College Track Mentorship Program Manager at the New World Symphony. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's so great to go ahead and be on with you. I'm really
Oh,
excited.
totally. I am so excited. And of course, the New World Symphony, one of our wonderful creative partners here at Arts Engines. But this particular program, which I would love to talk about for this episode, the College Track Mentorship Program, wondering if you could kind of start by just giving us a sense of what's the scope of that? What's the scope of the work that you oversee?
It is inspiring to see how well the New World Symphony Fellows are working along with me, the musician advancement team, with the 10 talented youth that we have as part of the program and part of a readiness program. So we take in 10 very talented students through an audition process that are in need of support in order to get them ready to apply to multiple universities and apply to multiple opportunities they wouldn't already have. And so we work in collaboration with the fellows and our wonderful board trustee, Dorothy Terrell, in order to support these incredibly talented youth in the area.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you're identifying the cohort, and it's a cohort of 10 each year, is that?
Yes.
Yeah. When you're working to identify them, is there kind of a selection criteria, or how do you go about selecting who gets to participate in the program?
Absolutely. So we determine on a needs-based application process. We also determine on performance level and seeing where it is we have potential for growth to make sure that we're fitting the needs of the student and making sure we're equitable among what we're looking for in trying to grow those needs and trying to grow what the connections are in classical music, and that's diversity and inclusion. We're trying to make an actual equitable program where we're preparing these youth in different diverse backgrounds that we have the luxury of in Miami to make sure that we're preparing them for the pursuit of classical musical backgrounds. And so it's really, really inspiring to see how much talent there is and how much of a need and diversity that we can offer through what we already have in really talented high schoolers.
That's awesome. And so once you're working with the students, are there kind of any core skill sets? So by the time that they graduate and are going to then matriculate to college, are there kind of like a top two or three things that you in the program you're like, we want to make sure we provide them with this, or that they have this particular skill set by the time they complete the program?
Absolutely. So the flexibility I have as a college track mentorship program manager is I also definitely, with my educational background, I definitely feel like we're going to meet the needs of each student individually, depending on where they are and seeing the root and the growth that they have for their actual potential. So depending on the needs for the actual student, we kind of tailor the curriculum toward them and feel where it is these students need to leave and be prepared in order for these university experiences. So it could be anything from readiness in terms of basic piano skill. It can be in providing them those actual fundamental lessons they need with their New World Symphony Fellow. And we're also providing music theory lessons so that they have equitable access to an actual music theory program when they actually delve into these university programs.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So then when they finally are looking at like, okay, and where am I going to go and all of that, are you very involved in that program, in that part of the aspect in terms of where they select to go or where they are even considering going? Are you involved in the actual then process of them and their applications to various schools?
Absolutely. I feel as though it is important in my role to build a connection with the student and seeing where it is their aspirations are. So it starts really in their junior year where we're starting to look at those universities and those interested programs that they have. We run a list and we do research. We just do what is expected of actually a college advisor at any of their high schoolers, and I have great relationships with those college advisors as well as their families to see what is the best financial need, what is the opportunities that we're looking for the future, and seeing where the student as is so that we can find the success and where it is their application will take them. And seeing those kinds of needs is where my role fits in to make sure that the student feels successful and ready to apply for these big experiences because it is life changing for them. Seeing where their application is going to land up and seeing where their opportunities lie for their futures.
That's awesome. There's got to be, so first it must just be, so rewarding, and especially as you develop these relationships with all of the students and the young participants. Are there any stories that stand out as you think about, some of the students and where, they were able to end up going, or any stories that you wanted to share of that impact that you've created?
Absolutely. I really feel as though that this particular cohort, we've actually bonded very well. And it's just very rewarding to see that through the board games that we'll have, the silly moments where we'll go ahead and go out together for ice cream or getting ready and sitting down for an application or seeing how do we do in those auditions and ranking each other's auditions, giving feedback and positive comments and constructive critique. We've been able to form a real bond, and it's really exciting to see how much potential and how much reward they're getting from this actual program and seeing where they'll be.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Is there, as you know, there are so many in our audience who either might have, a program where they're working with young people and or they're trying to prepare, especially for a collegiate environment, et cetera. Any guidance in terms of kind of suggested best practices that you would have? In other words, for anyone who's working, doing this work, are there, one or two things that for you are like, a program needs to have this. It needs to have this component, or taking this type of approach with young people. We found that has been, keys to our success that we've had.
Absolutely. I definitely feel like with again my background in education, we're trying to build accountability and responsibility. And I feel like anything that we're trying to pursue really starts there. And instilling that and a level of maturity that they'll need to go ahead and hold themselves accountable is something I believe a real great program will foster. And creating those opportunities for more and creating those opportunities where a specific student in need of a struggle will be able to communicate that to you. And so that your role or as the program's role can be able to help fill that need for that student. Just a very simple example, if the student is really finding a struggle in looking for repertoire or needing advice for a specific piece, figuring out when is the best time to communicate about that and figuring out the steps to get that student where they need to go.
Awesome. Awesome. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all my guests, right? This work, obviously, as I mentioned, so rewarding, and you get to see this impact on so many young people. But there's got to be some tough days where either things logistically or otherwise, there might be a challenge that arises. You feel, how can this even be overcome? For all of those, people, and especially who are in arts leadership, arts administrative roles, who are watching, are there any things that you do yourself as an arts leader to get past those toughest of times or toughest of days?
Absolutely. It goes right back to finding those silly moments and something I really look forward to. Where it's yes, we're dealing with young kids. They're still kids, and sometimes they'll forget, and sometimes you'll forget because they're aspiring for more, and there's so many opportunities, and they're playing on all these grand stages. But I really feel like drawing it back and connecting them to what makes them a kid and find joy in that is what makes my tough days worth it. And going out to get ice cream and making sure they're having fun with a new board game I got for them. And those are just like the silly moments that I plan for them to make sure that we're having a real experience and getting them ready for bigger opportunities.
Daniel Rivera, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything that you do, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Aaron. Thank you.